So, Chris, I do have to ask, I hear that you have a Scott Stapp story, and it may relate to Paper Girls in some way?
Oh, are you talking about
Lead singer of Creed?
who told you that?
Is that not a story you're able to tell?
No. Well, it was something my writing partner and I talked. I don't know how it relates to Paper Girls, but I guess he famously got very mad at the comedian David Cross and said, "Thanks for your words," in an angry, cool guy voice. And so often on Paper Girls, people will turn to one another and say, "Thanks for the words," when they feel like we're overwriting the show.
Is this a lightning in a bottle show? It felt like you guys had a lot of fun making it, and it came through in the story.
I think the girls are the nuclear reactor core at the center of that energy. Like I think they just bring such a positivity to the show and to the set, and they also are like these human kind of fact checkers for what we're writing, which is the experience of people who are obviously much younger than I am. And even though our writers' room has women in their 20s, women in their 60s, nobody's going to be able to tell us if this feels emotionally inhabited more than the actresses themselves. And so to have them at the center of it, have them be, as I'm sure you've experienced already, so enthusiastic and all in, that's just kind of free. It just makes you want to do better, and so we try to live up to that.
Chris, I want to ask you, when adapting this to the series, what were like some of the key elements that you wanted to make sure you came across when making the series?
I think the tone is everything on Paper Girls. And coming into it, I was a huge fan of the graphic novel, but I felt like if they want to do kind of like a Disney version of this, a CW version of this, if they want to take out the bad words and kind of sanitize the rough edges of these kids, that's not going to be for me. Because I think what's so good about it is it goes to these kind of difficult places, shows these eras, warts and all, and so that mattered hugely. And then when Amazon kind of made a commitment to that tone, that was huge. And then also in the casting, there was a moment where the discussion was being had: should they be 16? Should we cast someone famous that will help sell the show? And likewise, when everyone kind of found the courage to say, no, we're going to cast relative unknowns that are close to the age of the girls in the comics, and just trust that actresses this age can kind of handle this dialogue and make it feel real. Those were the two kind of fork in the road moments for the show, and I applaud our partners for stepping up to the plate.
Well, they definitely delivered it. They definitely delivered it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned on the panel that it was sort of the anti-nostalgia show, because there's this romanticism that's people assign to the 80s.
Yeah.
We all kind of look back with rose-colored glasses. There were a lot of bad stuff that happened there.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that balance, because you do want people to think of that time, especially when it comes to your song choices and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, the girls are products of that environment. So they are girls from 1988 moving through these different years, but they've had different experiences in the 80s. The 80s is a very different time if you're a white man versus a young woman of color. Reaganism's great for everybody in that moment, and the girls are, very much kind of persecuted in the pilot episode in various ways, and we wanted to play fair with that, because I do think too often the 80s is that kind of bright neon nostalgia factor. There are shows that do that very well. There's a huge hit show that does that very well, but we wanted to not to be different from them, but to be true to kind of what Brian and Cliff did before that show existed. Feel that in both the photography and the performances and the things we tackled, and so I don't know, that mattered to me, and to be honest, I don't think I could have done it the other way. I don't have the skill to write in that register, and so it has to be a little dark if I'm going to be able to do it.
I was going to ask just more about the casting process. What was it about each character that you felt wanted to find and found in each actress? Like just a main...
God, I mean, it was this huge international search. Literally hundreds of young actresses we saw for this. I doubt there is an actress in this age range that I have not seen on camera. We obviously were proceeding from the archetypes in the book, but beyond that, I think it was this realism. I think we felt like any hint of like Disney kid, or you know, I'm playing like My Leather Jacket, and this thing kind of collapses under the weight of comparisons to other things, or really kind of what it is. And so I just feel like each of these girls is so relatably real and different. And then in the process of being in the show, really changed those characters. You know, I mean, I think Sophia is such a natural, winsome leader that she's really kind of changed who the Mac of the comics is. I think Fina is so vulnerable and kind of changes the KJ of the comic, who is this very kind of stoic physical presence. You know, Cameron is the most like her character, but at the same time, she's got this brightness that I don't think Tiffany has in the comic. And then, you know, Riley as Erin, she just, you're so rooting for her to kind of come into her power. And even though that is kind of imagined in the plot line, there's just something about the way she performs it, and even the way she kind of changes an actress over the course of the first season that just, I don't know, it makes us seem like we were doing more than we were, but the credit really belongs to them.
There has been many stories where when creators get involved into an adaptation, things would go smooth or go rough.
Yes.
How much involvement did you let the creators do?
They were fantastic. I mean, like, and to their credit, they didn't want to be overly involved. I think they knew that. Brian K. Vaughan has been a showrunner. He ran Under the Dome. He was on Lost, obviously. And so I think he knew that the greatest gift he could give us was, like, his blessing to play. I think he set up front the kind of things that were important to him. And then we would check in with him periodically, because he could be a really good kind of North Star for us. Does this feel like Paper Girls, or does this feel like we're going too far away? And he was a wonderful resource for that. And then Cliff, to an extent that I want to go much further with even the second season, was so available to our production design, to our DPs. He had a huge role in like the creature design, the colors, because we'd be stupid not to use him, because he created such a visually compelling world that's distinct and that makes Paper Girls kind of what it is. I only regret that we didn't go to Cliff more, and now that he's sucked in, I think we will. Yeah.
Awesome.
I noticed that in the list of executive producers, there's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how is he involved in this project?
Brad Pitt is Plan B is Brad Pitt. So they are a producer that works on this show for Amazon. I was also like, is he going to be part of it? Can he be Larry? Like, how's that going to work? I'm certainly pushing for one in season 2. Let's all demand it. I think it's the least he owes us as an executive producer. But he's also actually been a quiet champion of the show. When it came time to kind of show it to Amazon, he was really wonderful about calling and saying, I love this. This is what I love about it. So to his great credit, he watches it. He's involved. He's not a guy that calls me every day, but I'm hoping maybe he'll be a guy who calls me more.